What's up, everybody? Sorry about the delay. I moved around all my USB ports and all my camera inputs were changed because I have 3 cam links and they all switched IDs, so that was fun. Remo's here whining under my table for some reason. Why are you whining? Shh. Anyways, how's everybody doing? Let's see, we got Nemo in the house, Jonathan Barnes, Matt Mudib. We got Jack Roberts, TJ Dorman, Vince Roble. Let's see, Andrew S. Andrew's here, long time no see, man. Are you hoping we bust out a TiVo or Homer's printer? I have to tell you, I do not have any more for review. Skogs and Shrimp is asking about the Chiron and Unified. I have one, I'm not sure. That has a touchscreen, so it's been on my I need to get it done list, but I don't want to do it because of that screen on there. The video for the Easy ABL is almost done. The machine here is what we use. We use the CR10V2 for the demo machine, so we're going to be putting out a general video on showing how to install everything, calibrate it, power it, etc. I already got 8 hours into it and like 36 gig of video files, so that's fun. And if Sony Vegas could just stop crashing on me, that would be great. I would really appreciate it. So, anyways, so you guys need to post your questions in the chat. And I'm going to go through and see, because I know there are already some questions in here. And I think, is Mike V the first one here asking a question? He said he's got an Easy Light board, and I have to hit the button for the filament to extrude and hit again to heat the bed extruder. This is nothing you did wrong. This is standard practice. Our firmware has what's called cold extrusion prevention mode, which means it will not move the extruder motor in a extrude or retraction direction if the hot end is not above 170C. This will prevent you from telling it to extrude when it can't, and then grinding the filament and having to disassemble your extruder to get the filament out of there. So if you want to extrude or retract and you're using our firmware, you have to have your hot end heated to 170C or higher. This is a safety thing. If you are more technologically savvy, then you can go ahead and edit the source code to disable cold extrusion prevention mode, but we do not turn that off in our firmware, because we have had people where they've then complained that they were, dumb and didn't heat their hot end and tried to extrude and strip the filament out, and then, somehow thought that that was our problem, that they didn't know how to use a printer. So we leave that on to cut down on ID10T errors. So, but yeah, you have to leave the hot end heated in order to extrude or retract on our firmware. It's a feature in Marlin called cold extrusion prevention. So yeah, heat your hot end up if you want to move filament in and out of the extruder. So, and I see Nemo here. Did you heat your hot end past 180? Yeah, anything above 170 is going to let it move. Argan, what printer do you guys use? We have like 30 plus different models here. The one section of our print farm that's kind of standardized is our ABS fleet that's out in the shop. And those are all identically built Ender 3 Pros. And then I have two machines in my office for ABS. I've got an Ender 5 Plus that's enclosed, and I've got a custom built ANET AM8. I wouldn't even call it an ANET at this point. I basically, it's my first printer, and you guys know how it goes. You upgrade and you upgrade and you upgrade, and you're basically, what is that? There's like, I think it's some philosophy term that's like, if you take all the parts of a ship and replace the parts a little at a time until there's nothing original of that ship left, is it still the same ship? I'm sure one of you nerds in the chat knows the the term for that. There's an actual term for that, but it's escaping me. But the example is with a ship. So, but it's kind of the same thing. Like, what do you guys think? If you replace, over time, let's say over 2 years, you replace every part on the printer till there's no more original parts, is it the same printer? It's kind of a philosophical question. So, I see John Max here giving me the heart eyes. Sorry, John, I'm taken. Sorry to burst your bubble. But anyways, let's see here. What other questions do we have? Our flat, I'm getting worried about the chip shortage and getting anxious to get a soundboard before the price jumps. Yeah, I have no idea what's going on with the chip shortage. I look at it this way. If Ford, which is I don't know if they're probably a multi-billion-dollar company. I have no idea. They're a lot bigger than us. Let's just say that. If they can't get chips for their cars, I highly doubt we have any hope of getting any chips. We are working on a new revision of the board that will use a different processor that we do have. We just need to make sure the software works. I don't like sending boards out that are, half-assed and not fully tested. So that does add time to our release schedule, but we don't put out stuff that doesn't work and we haven't qualified ourselves. What's up? Oh, My dad's here helping us with some basement stuff, and he's popping in. Remo's behind me, if you guys can see. I don't know if you guys can see him. There's his ears. You can see his ears. But anyways, let's see. Christopher is asking, can someone help me if I want to know if it's possible to fit a laser kit to an Ender 6 Core XY? So, yes, it is possible to put a laser on any computer, any printer. I don't recommend because one, they're not a laser cutter. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. I don't like having machines that are multi-purpose. If I want a laser cutter, I get a laser cutter. If I want a 3D printer, I get a 3D printer. If I want a mill, I get a mill. Because what ends up happening is you start making a machine do multiple things, you end up as a, jack of all trades, master of none type situation where, now you're making compromises to hook all these additional things up. I do have, sitting in the box down here, I do have an atom stack diode laser that they sent us out to test. That is under $300. I also have a K40, which I wouldn't recommend a K40 to somebody who wants something that actually works out of the box. The K40 is one of those things you buy and upgrade because the price point's low enough. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend putting that stuff on a machine. You can do it, but stick with one thing. If you want a laser cutter, get a laser cutter. They're so cheap these days, and that way you're not contaminating the printer with additional stuff and doing all these weird workarounds to make a laser go on a printer. That's just my whole thing there. So let me see. Ram Design said, his Ender 3 stop mid-print, acts like there's no power, no light on the main board. Power supply looks good. Look like the main board may have received a spike. Other things to check. Well, I would check for physical damage first. Check the processor, because a lot of times I've seen where you get like a hot end that has a failure, and it'll short the processor out on the board. And I don't know if short's the right word, but it'll burn it. I've had it happen to me a couple times. I've seen a lot of customers have that happen as well. Check all the physical stuff, because the thing is, a lot of people don't realize this. One thing we focus on when we're going through like warranty processes with customers and replacing replacement parts is trying to figure out why the failure occurred in the first place. Because let's say someone has one of our boards and it gets shorted out, and we just swap it out. Well, if we don't help them try to isolate where the failure came from, if we send a new board out, it's going to die in the same manner the other one did if the original issue that caused it in the first place is not corrected. So I would start simple and check the fuse on the board. A lot of boards, like our Easy board, has a fuse. See if the fuse blew out. If the fuse blew out, there's a reason for it. Something shorted it and it blew it out. Creality boards have fuses on them now. The newer 32-bit boards do. Their older ones I think they had poly fuses that were like resettable. I don't have one in front of me to look at, but they didn't have a physical fuse that you could replace. But I would check that and do a continuity test across the two blades of the fuse, because sometimes I've had fuses where they blow and it's so subtle that you really can't see where the actual element inside the fuse blew. But either way, if something just stopped working, there's something that caused that to fail. It could be just a bad part. It could be that there's something wrong with the actual machine. You want to isolate, try to find out why the failure occurred, because, let's say you're like, oh, it's just the board, you put a new one in, you're probably going to blow out the new board and you're back to square one. So, let's see. We do not have any plans to do flex plates for the Delta. I saw someone asking, I saw it in my other chat, so I have my chat I scroll through and look at, and then OBS has the chat there. I saw somebody asking about the Ender 6 290 by 290 size plates. They are in production. We should have our next shipment of plates in about 2 to 3 weeks. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I have no idea with logistics these days. Some stuff we get in really quickly from our suppliers. Other stuff, gets hung up in customs or is, stuck on a boat somewhere for a month. But my best estimate is we should have restock on plates that are out of stock in the new Ender 6 290 by 290 size in about 2 to 3 weeks. Like I said, this is just a rough estimate. If I had a concrete ETA, I would have no problem saying, oh yeah, we should get them in, on this day, give or take a couple days. But things are all still screwed up with shipping. I feel like there's less USPS issues happening. Domestically, it seems to be fine here. It's getting a lot better. Things are getting to their destinations, but international is still a mess. We're seeing international orders where, like Canada getting there in about 1 to 2 weeks. But we have sad packages where they bounce around and they're stuck in the Chicago distribution center for a month. You know, just keep that in mind. Like the shipping carriers are still having delays. It's not as bad as it was about 6 months ago, but they're not running smooth. You know, well, it's, with USPS anyways, as smooth as with them. You guys know how bad they can be. So, let's see here. Where's the next question? My chat jumped. I hate... Can someone, like... I haven't even Googled this. Does anybody know why YouTube chat, like when you're scrolling through a live chat, you'll be scrolling and all of a sudden it'll jump all the way to the bottom? It makes no sense. So Alfio is asking, he's got Ender 5 Plus, he swapped out the display, and he's got vertical lines every 4 to 5 millimeters on the Z. That sounds like a physical issue with the printer. Especially if you're using the stock board, your VREFs are all going to be the same. Especially if you have... Now, vertical lines, this would be one where you should post a picture in our Discord server, which is linked below. There's a channel called Livestreams, and you can post stuff in there for me to see because... what's it called? Sorry, I had a brain fart here. Because YouTube doesn't allow you to post images or links, so... But yeah, that'd be good if you could post that. If it's a consistent... if it's consistent at the same point every certain millimeters, it could be something as simple as Z-wobble, and Z-wobble is usually introduced because the lead screws are bent. Even if the lead screws are bent, you can usually try to loosen everything up, like the coupler to the lead screw and the lead screw to and the coupler to the motor, and try to get everything aligned. It could be a misalignment, but that's going to be something that is a physical issue. So now it could be that you have an issue with your board, but the boards, even though Crowley's boards aren't the best, they usually do the job. So giveaway is offline. It should be. Can someone else confirm that they can get to the giveaway form? Let me click it myself. Go to site. No, I can hit it in my browser that's not signed into our form system. We use Microsoft for a lot of stuff here. I see somebody got deleted. Oh, they were spamming. Okay. Yeah, don't spam the chat. You're just gonna get gone. Don't do that. That's rude. Let's see here. Neograph is asking, I have a slicer question. I have a model that has a hole for a magnet, but I don't want it there. Is there a way in the slicer to patch up the hole? Not really. I mean, you could kind of fudge it. Like if you had like a model of like a really, like just a thing to fill in that hole, and you put them on the bed, some slicers like S3D will then merge them all into one. But I would recommend picking up for something like that. I would use Mesh Mixer, and Mesh Mixer is very clunky, but you know what? For modifying STLs, it actually works pretty well. And I would just then, put in Mesh Mixer, you can put like cylinders and circles and spheres and rectangles, put it in there, merge it all, make it solid, and then print it. So, Matt Mudib is saying, hey, are you aware of my resource and guides to help with switch electronics and a photon over to a Qi2 board and a mono screen? I am not. But you should post that in the Discord server, because I have an original photon and I also have 2 photon zeros, and that would be kind of cool. I'm getting ready to fire those up. There we go. Chat jumped again. I was waiting for it. It's like, I know where it is. It's going to happen. Let's see. Thesis ship paradox. Okay. Yeah, that's what it was. But let's see here. John Mack, I'm just looking. Oh, I know you are. And I hope everybody, Scott, I know Scott wasn't feeling that great the other day because he's been helping us with the firmware side of our new, the new Easy board that'll be using the different processor that we can actually have. But he wasn't feeling good, so I hope you're feeling better, man. Yeah. God, look at the trolls. Bye, Felicia. There you go. Bye. We're going to go ahead and... there you go. Get wrecked. But anyways... yeah. Good luck. where were we at here? We're at thesis ship paradox. We're moving along, moving along. Let's see. Trying to find here. Any other questions? You guys got to post questions in the chat here. I don't have too much tangent. I don't have actually any tangents to go off on today, because after this I'm going to get right back to editing the EasyABL video. I hate video editing. I've got 8 hours into this video, and yeah. So, anyways, you guys got to ask questions in the chat. If you guys had any cool projects too, that'd be I'd also like to hear about them. So, I'm looking here. Alfio says, with Zen 5 Plus, if I print at a low speed, the issue disappears. Sounds like something's loose on that printer then. It sounds like a mechanical issue, because if you're printing slower and the Z wobble, we're just gonna call it Z wobble, like you're having issues every 4 to 5 millimeters, sounds like something's hanging up and it's not happy with things moving fast. So, but, yep. Let's see here. Giveaway works. I tried Tinkercad, but I ate so many triangles, made the model look like crap. Yeah, so that's the downside of the mesh mixer, is that you end up with a file that's huge, but it slices. My brother Doug, who goes by Top Hat Waffle on here, he will attest to my creativity. We're going to call it creativity in Mesh Mixer with modifying STL files, because at one point I think I had one of the pieces for our bed mounts is just like a cylinder, and he's like, why is this 45 megabytes? Yeah, because I'm not a CAD person. I have other people that on our staff that I pay to do fancy design work, because I know my limitations, and I haven't had time to fully learn. I have done some stuff in Fusion though. I have like the humidor trays. I've designed those. The Ender 6 ABL mount. Nothing crazy, but I'm learning. Reclaimer is asking, what are you using to close the Ender 5 and 5 Plus? So I do not have an enclosure for the 5, but I think the company that makes them does one for the 5. I am trying to remember the name. 3D Upfitters. I'll give them a shout out. I actually have talked to the owner there a couple times, because I did have an issue with, well, not an issue with the enclosure. There was a hole that was drilled slightly off, and I was just like, hey, I don't know if you're aware of this, but I had this problem. And they were really cool. He offered to send me out a new panel. I was like, don't worry about it. I just took the drill out and did it. I get it. Stuff happens. So, but yeah, I have their Ender 5 Plus enclosure. I will say it's on the little bit pricier side, but for me to just pay the money and put it together, that's worth my time. I'm sure there's a lot of people that understand the whole time concept. Like, yeah, you could do it cheaper, but how much time are you going to spend figuring it all out? What's your time worth? So this is what I have on my 5 Plus. I'm very happy with it. I can print ABS on it. I can print PLA on it, because I had issues with large PLA prints warping. I've been very happy with this enclosure, and for $350, I was like, oh, that's a lot. But now that I have it and it's set up, I don't even care that I paid that much for it. And they do have one for the 5 as well. I figured they would. But they got a lot of enclosures for a lot of different machines. Printed Solid also makes enclosures, but these guys are cool. I'm happy with their product. I'll give them a shout out. I don't get anything from them, but they're a small company like we are, and I'm all for promoting other small companies. So, Joe Velasco is asking, does your EasyABL work with glass beds? Absolutely. It will detect the top of the glass. It's not going to read the aluminum bed underneath it like other sensors do. Ours will actually read the glass surface. Julio Reyes is saying, can the backside of a textured flex plate be used with a smooth PI sheet to make it double-sided? Yes, you can. But I will let you know, anytime you put another surface on the back of a plate, it is going to decrease how strong that magnet's able to hold down. Now, I have plates that I've done that with our EasyMat and PEI, and it works fine still. But you will notice that if you have a double-sided plate like that, that it will have a weaker attraction to the magnet, but it still functions. So do it at your own risk. I haven't had any issues with it. I know a lot of our customers, they'll put the easy mats on the back side, or they'll put the PEI on the back side of a textured plate. Yeah. One thing I will recommend, if you guys are having adhesion issues, I still highly recommend the Vision Miner stuff. We use it like every day here. It's on all of our ABS machines. ABS with a PI flex plate and Vision Miner, everything just sticks to it, and that's what we use. So let's see here. What is Scott saying? I would make more videos, but Chris and Mike always do better than I could. If I was going to do more, I'd want to hire Zach Friedman to do the voiceovers. Zach, that's funny you mentioned Zach Friedman. I love his videos. Like his humor and his style, I love it. If you guys haven't checked out, I want to make sure before I go on anymore and kind of fangirl out here. I think he's got the curly hair, right? Yes. Yeah, Zach Friedman. If you guys haven't checked out Zach Friedman's channel, he's fucking hilarious. And if you like my style and not being, super PC about things, you'll enjoy his style. I love it. It's hilarious. He also does, if you guys are into the cyber decks, he did a cyber deck. He's great. Check him out. Just search Zach Friedman, and yeah, he's awesome. So let's see here. Doc Brown has said, any troubleshoot on Easy Out? I have one, a year plus one that stopped sensing unless I hit contact just right. Ended up replacing it. Those are wearable items. We've had some in our print farm that just need to be replaced, but they're like almost 2 years old. If you're using them heavily, it's a micro switch. It's going to wear out. It's best to just swap it out. They're like, I think they're like $6 or $7 in our shop. We do sell the Easy Out sensors separately. So if you need to replace them, we do carry them, and just double check so I give the right price here. Yeah, they're $9 and they come with a new cable. I highly recommend swapping the cable out too, because what I've noticed as well is that the cable also can have an issue where it won't make good contact after it gets, to be over a year and it's been handled all the time. Just replace the sensor and the cable and you'll be back in business. So we had to do that on a couple of our ABS machines and they've been fine. So let's see. Virage, is there something with white PETG? I can't get Matter Hackers Pro to print anything close to be proud of. I would try drying it out. I found a lot of the issues I've had with PETG with like stringing and just poor print quality came from the filament being wet. And running through and doing a filament drying seems like, in my case anyways, your mileage may vary, but I found that drying out PETG, if it's printing poorly, it's really stringy. Like PETG in general is going to be more stringy than other filaments just because of the nature of the plastic it is. But I found drying PETG helps a lot. And I took the time and wrote up an article on our support center about the process I use to dry our filaments when we have filament that is wet, along with a couple of dehydrators. There's a cheap one and there's a more expensive one that's like $150. The nice thing about the more expensive one, and I showed this off and asked him, it's actually in my garage and I keep it in there, is that it just has metal trays that slide out. There's no modifying it. You literally just set it up. You can fit about 6 rolls in it, like full 1 kilo rolls, run 1 kilo rolls in it. And it works great. It's got a timer and everything. You can set the temperature, and that page has all the info on like the drying times, the temperatures, and that's just stuff that I found works for me. Find out if it works for you or not. But yeah, I would try drying it before you start pulling your hair out, because I can't tell you how many times I've had issues with what I thought was just slicer settings because the print quality wasn't that good, and it ended up just being the filament itself. So if you have another roll of PETG and you know that your settings are good with that PETG, put it on the printer and see if it prints good. That'll kind of rule out if it's the filament. There are filament issues that are bad batches where you just got a roll that was bad. One thing I can tell you is if you're pulling your hair out trying to chase down a print quality issue, go grab another roll of filament, preferably something of a different brand from a different batch that's sealed. I understand if you don't have a sealed roll, not all you guys have rolls laying around like I do here. But even just a different roll of filament, and run the same print and see if you get the same issue. If you don't, then it probably is just the filament you're using that is having the problem, whereas it's not a print quality issue. So make sure you're ruling that out when you're doing prints, because you'll burn tons of hours trying to figure out what's going on, and you think it's your slicer settings, you're changing the settings, and it ends up just being that the filament has some sort of issue. Maybe it's too wet, maybe it's just a bad batch. you know, it starts simple. Start at the I guess you could call that a layer 1 issue. Sean Collins asking, with OctoPrint, what cameras do you use? I'm using a C920 and it's laggy. The C920s are decent to use with OctoPrint. I think they're a little bit overkill, and I don't like them because they have the autofocus, and the autofocus would never focus on the printer head and lock in. It would constantly be hunting. I use our Easy Cams, and before we had the Easy Cams, we used the Logitech C270s. If you are using our EasyPi image, and I think the default OctoPrint image might have it set lower, we have our set to, I think, 10 frames per second, because you don't need 30 frames per second or 60 frames per second for monitoring your printer. And the higher frames per second you use in OctoPrint, the more load it puts on it. So, you know, you're just using it to monitor your prints. You don't need super smooth playback. You know, check your settings in OctoPrint. Let me see if I can SSH into one of my Pis, because you have to change the frame rate and the settings. You have to SSH into a Pi and change it. Let me see. I think 2.200 is one of mine. Let me see here. Can I make this bigger? Change settings. Hang on, appearance. I'm gonna try to make the font bigger so you guys can see it, because I'm on a what's the word I'm looking for? I am on a 2K screen, so things are pretty small when I screen share. So here I'm in one of my OctoPis here. So I believe you'd want to do a sudo nano /boot /octopi.txt. I think that's it. And then confirm your password. And it should bring up, yeah, so here. So in your actual Pi config file here, you can set the USB camera option. So this is what we use in our print farm. Even if we have 1080p cameras, I still default them to 720p. 1, to save bandwidth, and 2, to save on CPU cycles. But this line right here, by default, I believe is commented out on your standard OctoPi image. On the TH3D image, it's set to 720 at 10 frames per second, just to conserve on system resources. So, but you can change this. Like, let's say I wanted 30 frames a sec. Oh boy. I forgot I can't use, hang on. Forgot I can't use the numpad in the terminal here. So, anyways, you can just change that 4 to a 10 and then save it and reboot, and it'll take the settings. But this is how you can change your settings. If you're using a, like, Raspberry Pi cam, I don't recommend those because I've had issues with them. But you can also change the options here for the Raspberry Pi camera. I think the USB cameras are the way to go with the Pis, just because the USB cable is easy to extend. You're not pulling like direct output power from the 3.3 volt line. I've had issues where the ribbon cable degrades or it hits a ground and shorts out. So, but yeah, that's how you change it. So you can go in there, do a sudo nano /boot /octopi.txt. You just SSH into your Raspberry Pi and do that, and then when you're done, you just do a sudo reboot, and then it'll then apply those settings that we just changed in that octopi.txt file. So let's see here. Great Lakes is saying, on the SVO3, take off the top 20 by 20 and take off the x-axis and see how much the rods lean forward. Mine were so bad they hit the vertical extrusion. Several people on the Facebook group, me included, had to shim the Z bottom brackets to make the Z rod straight. I'll have to check that out because I have the SVO3 is over there. I was going to upgrade it with our EasyFlex and Easy ABL and then throw it in the print farm. But I did notice, I think during assembly, I had issues getting things lined up. Like it felt like I had to kind of fight with it to get it lined up. So that doesn't surprise me. So let me see here. Any suggestion for printing Tallman 3D 910 nylon? You're probably nylon. I haven't messed with in a while, but I do recall that with most nylons, you have to have an enclosure, and you're definitely going to want to put something down on the bed to keep it stuck. Like the Vision Miner would stick it down, but there's some nylons you can print without an enclosure, and there's some that need an enclosure. But in general, nylon likes to shrink. So, but let's see here. Why do we got so many trolls today? And we're going to go ahead and remove you. So anyways, let's see here. What's the next question here? Oh, Neil Griffith tried to load an easy ABL mount and Tinkercad at one handle number of triangles. I'm not surprised. Just looking here. Jack Roberts is asking to switch to easy flex with stock bag. What would you stick the magnet to? I would stick it right. I would stick it right down to the aluminum plate. That's the best way to do it. Stick it right down onto the aluminum plate. That's what we do here. That's what I recommend people do. So, any plans for a stripped down simple easy board so people can use your quality boards for Clipper without negating the current flagship board that is so reliant on Marlin? So, somebody did just get the easy board config merged into Clipper officially. I want to give him credit. So he was in our chat here. He was, well, hang on. Why am I blanking out? Hang on. Where is it? The Fallen on our Discord server. He got the easy board example config is officially merged into Clipper. So if you guys are wanting to play with it, don't ask our tech support for help with Clipper. We don't deal with Clipper here, but they do have Clipper working on the easy boards now. So, but no, we don't have a plan to release a stripped down version. We don't like to put out a million different board versions like some other companies do. We prefer to focus on, you know, one board and make sure it works as well as we can. But yeah, the Fallen on our Discord server, he made a pull request against the Clipper GitHub repo, and there's officially now in Clipper's GitHub a config for the easy board that's been tested. So let's see here. Sean Collins, unfortunately, we're still not shipping to the UK. If you have a friend in any other country that we do ship to, you can ship them to them and have them send over, because as far as I understand, if you're an individual shipping to another individual, it's fine. But the problem is the UK, and this is based on information I got from the UK website and multiple other sources, is that the UK now wants people to collect taxes on their behalf and file taxes in the UK, even if you're not in the UK, because apparently their customs are too lazy to, you know, collect them at customs like every other country does. So we don't have the manpower to figure all that out and learn a whole nother country's tax codes and everything. So we just stopped shipping to the UK. It was, I want to say, like 1.5% of our total revenue. So yeah, anyways, let's see here. It sucks. I wish we didn't have to do that, but also, like, if we just said screw it and kept shipping to the UK and we're like, let's see how things go, from what I understand is they would just hold the packages and never release them, so that wouldn't be good as well. Yeah. So let's see. There are no more questions. I see one. Nicholas brought linear rails or stock wheels. I like the stock wheels as long as they're adjusted well. Teaching Tech did a video comparing it, and there's not a huge print quality difference. You know, when you outfit an Ender 3, for example, with linear rails versus the V-slot wheels. The one thing I will say that the linear rails probably offer over V-slot wheels is less maintenance, because you don't really have to adjust them. You put them on there, they're lubricated. Maybe you have to add some lubrication to the bearing box once in a while. But don't go to linear rails and expect, wow, my print quality is so much better. The V-slot wheels, they're simple and they work, and as long as you have the correct tension on the eccentric nuts, they roll smooth and they work. I don't have plans to convert a bunch. I think I have a box. Someone sent me a 3D Fuse rail kit for an Ender 3, and I'm pretty sure it's in the box down here. I totally forgot that I had that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I still have that. Maybe I'll throw one on our test machine, but I just haven't had the reason to. Like, we run the V-slot wheels on all of them. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you could do faster travel, but for your standard print speeds, 40 to 80 millimeters a second, your V-slot wheels are going to do just fine. So, but machines that are designed with linear rail stock, like the Daedalus here behind me, that has linear rail stock, that makes sense if it's a machine that came with it stock. But, even like the Ender 6, that's got all V-slot, they've all got V-slot wheels. And I get great speeds out of that. I've run that machine at 100 millimeters a second, no problem. A little bit faster than that in the stock hot end, can't really keep up. But, the bottom line is the V-slot wheels, they work. So, if they didn't, all these printers that all these companies are selling would be absolute garbage. And, I'm not saying all of them are not absolute garbage, but the wheels aren't the reason. So... But I don't see any more questions, so I am gonna wrap this up. Looks like we're gonna wrap this up a little bit early. I'm gonna get back to editing the EasyABL installation video. I am going to have our support team, and I also will post an unlisted video once our support team approves it. I'm gonna make sure that there's nothing I missed. I tried to be thorough and wrote out an actual, storyboard, if you want to call that, to make sure I'm hitting all the bases. So. But yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot. Let's see. We'll give the pupper a treat. Anyways, I think it's treat time for Remo. He's gonna pop up. Where's he gonna pop up? On my left or right? Let's see. Oh, there he is. You little fatty. Yeah, come here. Gotta come over here. They gotta see you. They gotta see you. You know the drill. Shake. Good boy. Up. Sit. Touch. No, touch. Good boy. Good boy. You're so smart. So, anyways, I hope you guys all enjoyed. The stream. I will see you guys on the next one, and keep an eye out. I'm trying to have the EasyABL install video out by this weekend. Hopefully I don't go insane editing videos. I hate editing videos. I so much like live streaming better, but for something like this, it's better to do editing. So anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. Hope you guys learned something. And as always, happy printing.